Good evening, friends. I've been asked to speak for just a few minutes, of course, on the chapter from the Autobiography called The Law of Miracles. And I realized as I was reading it for maybe the fourth time between yesterday and today, that the fact that Yogananda could write this chapter, the fact that this soul who had so resisted formal education, as we all know he did, could explain to us all of this Einstein, Newton, so many other great scientists of the late 1800s and early 1900s, and explain it in a way that we could actually understand it, at least by the fourth or fifth reading. That is a miracle. And he did that just so beautifully. He starts in this chapter by saying to us that there's only one form of energy that can exist beyond duality. He says even sound needs air, but that light itself is that form of energy that can be absolutely unitive. So beyond all duality, nothing can exist in that state except light, that nothing that's formed on the material plane, no material laws, no material science, nothing that happens here can escape duality, so that somehow we have to find our way out of all of this science, all of what everybody wrote up until now. Again, I would say from Einstein on, but I don't know exactly when some of these other scientists that he quotes in here lived and wrote, but that even their science, which was beginning to show us with the theory of relativity and a deeper look that it was taking at electricity and at gravity, that we would have to transcend all of that and get to that one state where things could be unitive, where we were not living in a state of duality with an ebb and a flow, with a light, with a dark, all of those contrasting principles that always had to equal each other. Therefore, you were always needing an equal amount of one and then the other. And he says to us that this is our job in life, that this is the reason for the human condition, is to surmount all of that Maya, another word really we could say for duality, that pulls us out rather than allowing us to come in, that again has us needing to balance everything all the time. And it's where that wonderful phrase of his, that the unwillingness to leave that state takes us into this place of anguishing monotony. And Swami Kriyananda says so beautifully in the Festival of Light, even when repeatedly, meaning life after life, we've lost everything we have, that it's so hard to leave the state of duality. But now here come the scientists, and the scientists suddenly start saying to themselves, you know, this world really is a world of light and shadows, that in a way, it's like the Yogi saying in the Gita, Krishna saying, all that we thought was light was but darkness. Who are we in reality? And now the physicists are finally coming to that. And I wanted to read to you just one line from the Autobiography where Master's quoting St. James Jean. And he says so beautifully in there, he says, the universe begins to look more like a great thought than a great machine. Alas, the physicists are coming to say, you know, there's everything that we know, every atom is truly energy. And the physicists are saying this. And the physicists are saying that same light casts a shadow. We call it an elbow. Literally, he says this, we call it a chair, we call it a tree, we call it water. And it's all coming from the same source, and you can feel, as Master quotes them, the excitement in the physicists as this realization is dawning. And then Master goes on in the chapter to say that all of the great avatars, all of those beings who are not bound by the physical laws, who can manifest what they want, when they want, where they want it, that they are not following any of the rules of time or space or the rigidities of form, that they have accomplished that one rule that Einstein said when he was talking about the theory of relativity, that only in a state where your mass is infinite could you accomplish that. And of course, we all know that's precisely what is true with the masters. This is the law of miracles, that energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but it can always be transformed, because to these great masters, it's all one great source of light. And they can turn that light into a human being, into their bodies after they've left their bodies, into a forest, into a running creek. It doesn't matter to them. There's no difference, because they're simply taking the great source of light and manifesting that same essence in different forms. That's the law of miracles, that everything comes from the great source, not in the play, but behind the play, that that's what's illuminating, manifesting everything. Master, I'll close with this, because I must be near 5 minutes, if not over it. But Master said at the end of this chapter, and I want to read it to you because it's so beautiful, but he says, one's values are profoundly changed when he is finally convinced that creation is only a vast motion picture, and that not in it, but behind it, lies its own reality. It is so beautiful. He says, know this, and the way you perceive everything forever will be changed.